somewhere.
Yeah, it certainly does, and like I said, this particular sector is very, very tough indeed. Ramps up to 18% on the gravel as well. So, and obviously in today's nice conditions, a fair bit of dust to deal with as well, which is not the easiest when you're a couple of riders further down the field and you're struggling to actually see the wheel in front of you by the dust. But here we are, Chantal.
And this is the group, sorry. Langvaart's there, Nivea Dommer as well, chasing Chantal Black. Her teammate Van der Breggen as well, the defending champion. Moolman Pasio, Ensing, who's that second rider in the red we saw. Ruth Winder of United States, who's been having a really good season so far, already victorious in Valencia earlier, well, last week it was.
We mustn't forget Vos in there as well, who I think is a bit of an outsider for today. She hasn't really raced an awful lot on the road so far this year.
This is her first race on the road.
Yeah, it is, and obviously coming off a very, very strong cyclocross program in the winter. And as we saw last year with the men's race, Wout van Aert getting third, so not a bad shout.
There's Annemiek van Vleuten in second place, racing for Mitchelton Scott. Alongside her as well is Nivea Dommer. Nivea Dommer, the former Polish champion. There's the world champion as well, and, well, defending champion here. Trying to win it with the world championship stripes on her back, Anna van der Breggen. But, of course, it's Annemiek van Vleuten now. He's up there at the start of the race.
Vos in orange in second wheel there now, just riding up to Van Vleuten. Looking very strong on this.
She's had a good cross season, hasn't she, Marianne Vos?
Yeah, she definitely has. Been consistent throughout the cross season, which is good to see.
There she's in the orange jersey, by the way. Nivea Dommer is in the Canyon SRAM jersey, the dark coloured jersey with the coloured bits on it back. She's moving into second place now as Annemiek van Vleuten, on her comeback from injury the other week, took fourth place at Omloop at Nieuwsblad. She finished fifth here back in 2017. And of course is the defending champion of the UCI Women's World Tour. So first of 23 events today. She's starting off pretty well.
Well, it's certainly looking good so far, and making small work out of this climb. It's so steep, as you can see, certainly the early parts of it, and just about cresting the climb and getting onto the tarmac. And this is where it becomes difficult. You need a good 10-15 seconds at this point if you're going to attempt to go on your own towards the finish. But chances are that with Vos and Nivea Dommer, they can actually get together and start working on this one and bridge that gap to Van Vleuten.
This is the chasing group of two riders at 1 minute now. Yonamina, the Japanese champion, on the right side for Ale Cipollini. And I think on the left-hand side that was Tatiana Guderzo, the Italian veteran now, riding for B-Pink. So Annemiek van Vleuten, the Dutch woman riding for Mitchelton Scott. Mitchelton Scott have had a great start of the season, haven't they, down under?
Yeah, they certainly have, and certainly looking like they've prepared well for the season, and even in Europe here now they're starting to really show.
One bit of news for them is that unfortunately Amanda Spratt had a crash early on in the race and was forced not to finish. This was her first European race of the year after getting her season off to the perfect start by winning the Tour Down Under. She'd finished top 10 in each of the past couple of seasons here.
Just look at that gap that's opened up there. Van Vleuten is really flying up here.
Annemiek van Vleuten then. Remember, we've still got that big climb to the finish to go as well.
Yep.
It's always a tricky finish in Strade Bianche, but that is some gap already. We're not getting a time gap. The gap of 1:09 you can see on your screen is the gap to the two riders chasing the lead group, but Van Vleuten going away on that final sector, Le Tolfe, and riding to Siena now.
And the final climb, like I said, it's a difficult one. It just gets very, very steep right near the top.
That'll suit this lady though, won't it?
Well, it certainly should do. It certainly should do. And obviously, she's got a decent gap here now to the group behind, and they're also going to have to start thinking about, do we race for first, or do we start settling for second and playing a tactical game? And if we're going to race for first, everyone needs to commit to this one. Obviously, with Boels Dolmans, they got 3 riders in here, so they got riders they can sacrifice to ride and to try and chase and see if they can bring Annemiek van Vleuten back.
Counter-attack starting from behind, as you can see. There's movement off the front there. It looks as though it might be one of the Boels Dolmans riders.
Yeah, it does. I'm not sure that's the best tactics to employ at this particular point, but
I think that might well be Langvaart again.
Yeah.
It is the Dane, wearing number 5. Marianne Vos on her wheel for CCC Liv. Then third wheel you've got the Bigla rider. Bigla, a Swiss team with 6 riders from 5 different countries representing their team, but it's their Dane Cecilie Uttrup who finished in the top 10 at the Setmana Valenciana last week.
Yeah, and she made quite a big name for herself last year in the La Course during the Tour de France, and was a spectacular ride out in the breakaway pretty much all day. And yeah, I think the post-race interview was one of the best ones and most passionate ones that I've ever heard.
We saw her wearing that Best Young Rider jersey a long time during that UCI Women's World Tour last season as well. But again, there's no real organisation in this chase, just yet anyway. Still waiting for a time gap with just over 10 kilometres to go. This is the leader.
You could just spot earlier on in the previous picture up in the top left corner, so there is a, I'd say a good 25-30 seconds by now.
Annemiek van Vleuten trying to win this for the first time for Mitchelton Scott. It was Megan Guarnier and Lizzie Armitstead who won this race for Boels Dolmans the first 2 years it was run. Then Elisa Longo-Borghini in 2017. Last year, Anna van der Breggen restored the Boels Dolmans dominance in Siena. Strade Bianche, it is as an unpredictable race as they come. And we're seeing Chantal Black, the Dutch champion, chase Annemiek van Vleuten into the beautiful Tuscan city of Siena. Still to come is a little bit of a descent into the outskirts of the city, and if you haven't been to Siena, well, it's basically on a hill, isn't it? Like many of these towns here in Tuscany.
It is typical that way, where it doesn't matter which way you come into it, you're still climbing to get to the square.
The climb, they get up into the famous square where they have the Palio in the summer, of course, and it is one of the most scenic places I've ever been to, never mind just in Italy or Europe, but around the world. The chasing group on the way to Siena is composed of these riders: Van der Breggen, Black, Ludwig, Uttrup Ludwig, Vos, Niewiadoma, Langvad, Moolman Passio, Insing, Winder and Bastianelli. Bastianelli's in great form, isn't she?
Yeah, she definitely is. It looks like they're not really getting the collaboration between the riders in this front group to try and chase Van Vleuten back. And like I said earlier, I guesstimated about 25-30 seconds.
27 now we're getting. Not a bad effort, that was it? Bastianelli, by the way, wearing the European Champions jersey there. Winner in the Classics in Belgium last year. Sort of really having a second win late into her career. Well, there might have been a few doubts about the recovery of Annemiek van Vleuten after that horrible knee injury in the road race at the World Championships last year, just a few days after she won the time trial rainbow jersey. But I'll tell you what, 4th place last week in Flanders at Omloop at Nieuwsblad. She is riding strongly here today. I think you can throw those doubts right where they belong.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it probably enforced her to take a good break at the end of the season last year, and sometimes rest is not necessarily a bad thing, even if it is due to an injury. It just means that the rest of your body is 100% fresh when you start back training again, and you got time to work on a couple of other little bits and pieces that might have been neglected over a period of time. So, but certainly Van Vleuten is looking very, very strong out there today, and has done since the start of the season, really.
Well, she has been in the top 5 here before, never on the podium. She has 27 seconds with 8 kilometres still to go, and it's her Dutch national teammate who's chasing her down at the moment, the world champion Anna van der Breggen. 200 metres of a gap. So these are the most normal roads that they'll have been on all day. Typical normal main road into town, but we've been out and about into the villages, up and down those beautiful gravel roads. And it's a strong group chasing though. It all depends on the organisation here.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this group is pretty much who's who of women's racing at the moment who has made it into this group, and I mean, that doesn't look like 26 seconds when you look at it, but I guess we've got to trust the ticker so far. certainly it looks like there's a little bit more cohesion between the riders in the chase there now to bring Van Vleuten back. And it's a long way to go, 8 kilometers still, just had the sign back there.
First victory on the UCI Women's World Tour up for grabs. Chance to start the season the best way possible, and of course with a backdrop that is as beautiful as few others in the world. Piazza Il Campo is ram-packed, I can tell you. Lots of people waiting to cheer on their heroes. 29 seconds, so the gap is actually growing here.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I think it's the camera's probably foreshortened it a little bit, but at this point in time, you're looking at Boels Dolmans. They got 3 riders in here, and with that, they need to really start chasing. And also, I think CCC Live with Ashley Mollman-Passio and Marianne Vos. They got to decide which one of them two is going to go for the finish on this, and apply some pressure to the front here. Start chasing, because you know at this moment they're just letting Van Vleuten ride up the road. 39 seconds there now.
Average speed of 36 kilometers per hour throughout this race so far. That is the fastest time schedule the organisers expected. 38 seconds we're getting. And you mentioned there the CCC Live. It's a new team that's been put together. It's one of the things I've been most looking forward to about this classic season. How they're going to live together, those big names, Vos and Moolman. I mean, we see it in other teams, but Marianne Vos has always been the undisputed leader, really, wherever she's been, wherever she's ridden. Ashley Moolman-Passio has been one of the top riders in the world for the last few years.
And pretty much the undisputed leader of her team as well in the past. So, it's going to require a fairly strong sport director to manage that, I think. But obviously, if they end up in these kind of positions, they need to have a tactic, and they need to be honest with each other to play this game out, because they do sit in a very, very fortunate position in that they have 2 riders there. But clearly Van Vleuten was too strong going up that climb of Le Tolfe, and with that they ended up on the back foot.
Yeah, Chantal Black was the rider to go onto it first, but she went backwards into reverse gear almost as soon as the 18% gradient hit. Well, this climb up to Piazza Il Campo is a maximum 16% gradient. It's via Santa Caterina, and at the top you've got, what is it, only 300 metres false flat descent to the line.
Yeah, I mean it goes right up to the very line, and it's actually quite a tricky finish.
Narrow streets on the left and right.
Yeah, exactly, and I guess you know that by the time you can almost see where it flattens out, and it's a weird kind of sensation when you're going up those streets there. It's almost like you're riding up towards the top of a step, and then all of a sudden it's pan flat, and you just got to change the speed and accelerate again for that last final couple of 100 meters up to the finish. So if you're coming up there in a group, it's not the easiest of sprints to take on.
Anna van der Breggen riding at the front here for Boels Dolmans. 2 other teammates in the group. Does that suggest she thinks she's not the strongest today?
Well, certainly is a bit of a strange one to me. I would have thought that Van der Breggen would be the stronger one on this final climb, and like we said, it is uphill to about 300 meters from the line, and then you've got a kick from there. So yeah, Van der Breggen would have been certainly my choice for rider on this one. But maybe you never know how the riders are feeling, but certainly Black is very, very quick in a finish. Langvaart, I'm not quite sure, but she's looked good so far.
Annemiek van Vleuten at the top of Via Fiorentina. A little bit of a descent now. Once she gets down to the bottom of this next part of road, she'll be heading into the final climb. All of the gravel has already been ridden. As Van Vleuten went maybe a little wide there, but that's a tight corner.
I thought that was perfect. Use every centimetre of road that you got.
No margin for error. There's the Olympic champion, the world champion, the reigning champion of this race as well. Former Polish national champion, Niewiadoma. There's Bastianelli, she's been world champion, she's European champion as well. Another former world champion, Voss. It is like a who's who, this group. Less than 5 kilometers to go now in the 5th Strade Bianche. Who's going to join Guarnier, Armitstead, Longo Borghini and Van der Breggen? Can Van der Breggen become the first rider to win it back-to-back? It's a big ask there with 42 seconds, isn't it now?
Yeah, that is a very big ask. 4.5 kilometers to go. I mean, yes, the timings change a little bit when you got to climb up towards the finish. Obviously, a fresh rider will be able to bring back more time on the climb than you would on a flat piece of road. But nevertheless, that is a big gap and a big ask to take on the final climb.
So just over 4Ks. Final climb itself is around the last kilometre mark. Starts off with a 12.4% gradient, goes up to a maximum of 16 at the top. There's also a little bit of false flat with just under 2Ks to go as well, isn't it? And that is where the ascent proper starts.
Yeah, it's about 2-3% going for almost a kilometre, I'd say, before it really kicks up, and that's very much leg zapping.
This is Ensing on the left-hand side for Sunweb having a go. Red jersey at the front. She was followed straight away by another rider. The rider looks to have been the other Bulls Dolmans rider, Longford again.
Yes,
been very active towards the end of Dane here.
She certainly is. I just, you know, if she's the one that they're riding for, then I just hope that she's not doing too much here, leading in towards the final climb. She's better off just holding tight and waiting for that climb to really start.
Annika Longford, who is 34 now. Podium last year of the Danish National Time Trial Championships. She's been a 3-time national champion though. Now this is Marianne Vos in the orange. World champion behind her, Van der Breggen. Then it's Kasia Niewiadoma. Fourth wheel, you can see the European champion Bastianelli. 43 seconds. There's nothing happening with this gap at the moment. We're getting into the last 3 kilometers of the 5th Strade Bianche. There it is, the 3K to go sign. And this is the descent into the part where it kicks up to the finish.
Yeah, so she's got about another kilometer or so of descending, and then we start that climb. And like we said, it's falls flat for between 2 and 3% for about a kilometer before we really start going proper uphill, and then you got a good section at 12.5% with the steepest point at 16.
Group behind is splitting up in the meantime. We're hearing that Ruth Winder is no longer in that front group for Trek Segafredo. Now then, what happened here?
Well, Norman's got that a little bit wrong coming into the corner. Just so easy to do, and when you're really on the limit, you're pushing hard and just get your braking point slightly off, or you got too much dust on the rims, and the brakes don't bite quite as sharp as you expected them to.
Still Annemiek van Vleuten.
30 seconds now, coming into that falls flat section, about to start here now, dragging up towards the finishing climb.
So hard to believe that it's just a second race day back.
Yeah.
4th last week in Omloop at Nieuwsblad on comeback. Well, I tell you what, this is absolutely incredible. 36 now. This would be her 50th career win if she were to pull it off.
Yeah, fair play. I mean, she's been the class act for such a long time now, and like I said, coming back from injury doesn't necessarily mean that if you've had the time to work on it, and having an injury at the latter part of the season is often easier than to just deal with the fact that you can allow it to take a bit of time to heal, and you can allow yourself then to take the time to do the rehab and build all that up again. And more often than not, you're just so keen to get back on the bike, and you've got that motivation to get back racing, that you end up starting the season like this.
Approaching that final kilometre. The first ramps have already been tackled by the reigning World Time Trial champion, the winner of the UCI World Tour last year. Annemiek van Vleuten approaching 1 kilometre to go. But this is where the gradient starts to get serious. Straight away, we're into 10%. Then it ramps up to 16% at the very top. If you get there with a decent gap, then you've done it.
Yeah, definitely. It's having enough left in the tank, not being on your limit when you start in this particular bit here now with 1 kilometre to go. This is where it's going to make a difference. But I feel that she's got enough of a gap here to really hold on to win this race. It's going to take something special from any of these women here.
And we've got some special riders here. There's the skill, there's the ability, there will be the will. There are 8 riders remaining. The world champion and defending champion of this race is among them. This, though, is one of the most spectacular, beautiful finishes of any sports event in the world. The climb to Siena and its stunning Piazza il Campo. There are 41 seconds of a gap with 700 metres to go for Annemiek van Vleuten. Behind, they look around. The world and European champions are there. One of the greatest riders in the history of the sport is also there in Marianne Vos. At the minute, though, there's no movement.
No, there isn't any movement. Definitely not. Definitely not, but I'm looking at Van Vleuten, the way she's riding up here, she's very much in control, just keeping seated, keeping that effort, looking down at her power meter, making sure that she's not going too hard and keeping the cadence going as well.
This is the hardest part of the climb now, 16% on Via Caterina. Ashley Moolman-Pasio, the South African champion, leads the chase behind. As we're looking at it, it looks as though they're racing for the podium places.
Well, they're definitely. I think by now they've realised that they're not going to catch Van Vleuten. So it's all about the second place at this point.
Annemiek van Vleuten almost at the top of that hellish climb into Siena. The noise loud as ever. The atmosphere feverish. And Annemiek van Vleuten reaches the top with the gap she needs. A look behind and she can celebrate now. That is that. 300 metres of false flat to the line as we get the movement from behind for the podium places. Longford at the front in the orange for Boels Dolmans. On the left-hand side as we look at it, Kasia Niewiadoma, who, by the way, has finished second and the last 3 editions of this race. She's looking for the same placing. The will is going to evade her once again.
Vos is gone.
Vos at a standstill as we focus our attention on 36-year-old Annemiek van Vleuten. Winner of the World Time Trial Championship last year. She crashed in the World Road Race. A horrible knee injury. That's been overcome. 4th on her comeback a week ago in Belgium. It's a victory for the first time in her career at Strade Bianche. 50 up for Annemiek van Vleuten, and that is a wonderful win. Went away with style on Le Tolfe, and not just held her gap, managed to increase it on the climb to Siena. It's victory for the first time for Mitchelton Scott at Strade Bianche. And look at Piazza il Campo. Ready then for the race to the line. That's Cecilie Uttrup. This, though, is Annika Longford. Looks as though she's there to pick up second place.
Yeah, she is. She's just gone past Niewiadoma.
And Niewiadoma is going to have to exchange her second for third this year. It's Longford to finish in second, so a Dane on the podium. And Kasia Niewiadoma, second for the past 3 years, this year finishes third. Behind it's going to be a 4th place to Bastianelli and 5th to Cecilie Uttrup. There's Moolman-Pasio and Vos finishing together. There'll be a chat in CCC Live colours, maybe about how that looked out. And Janina Ensing finishing for Sunweb and in 8th position. It was a brilliant ride for Annemiek van Vleuten. And if there are any doubts as to how that recovery from the knee injury might go, they have been well and truly dispelled. We'll be back right after this.